So I'm going to give a really quick introduction to Wit, which is a really cool new app for natural language processing. It's basically the simplest way to put it is if you wanted to build something like Siri on your own, or the type of a thing that Siri would do, which is just um, process any type of natural language and expression input, something you say, and then pull structured data out of it, or the intent or the action that you're trying to accomplish by whatever you're saying. So when you tell Siri, tell me the weather, it basically takes that and says, okay, it wants to find the weather. He didn't specify a location, so I'm just going to use his current location, stuff like that. You can use Wit to do things like that. So what I'm going to do is, for an example, I'm going to create basically a way to find the score of the most recent baseball game. You can ask Siri, what was the score of the Boston game? Well, this will be one of the ways to do it. So I'm going to say, I'm going to actually start off here, a blank slate. I got a brand new instance. I'm going to go to my intents list, and I don't have any intents. And intents are these actions that you're trying to fire. So, if you're saying find me the weather, it would be called, I don't know, get weather or find weather or query weather or something, something like that. And then entities are these pieces of structured data in the sentence that you're trying to pull out of it. So for the get weather one, an entity would be like a location, or maybe a time if you're trying to get a forecast. If you said something like get the weather for Raleigh, North Carolina tomorrow would be an entity, maybe for a date time, and you would just it knows how to figure out what tomorrow means, because those are one of the preset built-in entities. You can make your own, which I'm going to have like sports team be one of the entities or something. So I'm going to go ahead and say get score as one of the intents, and now expressions are the way you're going to ask for the score, and the more the better. Wit actually says you should have 100 expressions per intent, and then at least 10 entities per expression. And that's just to help it pretty much figure out what the heck's going on. So if not everybody asks the same question the same way, it'll help pick up on stuff like that. It'll help it learn, basically. So, and you can see this little thing keeps moving up here. All that's doing is it's trying to find any changes to my entities or my intents, and it's just compiling them and validating them and stuff like that. So I'm going to set, one of the ways to ask for a score is, what was the score of the Boston game? Okay, so, and then I'll have another one called, who won the Atlanta game, or who's winning the Atlanta game. And so these are just a few. It's probably not going to work super well just because I don't have enough expressions, but I'm going to click on one of these. So here's the first one. What was the score of the Boston game? The intent is going to be get score, and then I'm also going to sit here and say Boston, and I'm going to call that, let's see here, team, and then I can actually specify a role here. So I'm going to say, actually I'm not going to specify home team or anything like that. I'm just going to say, okay, team, Boston. And that will return to me the team. So let's see, if I add another entity, I don't really need one, so I'll say validate, that's good. I'll go to who won the Atlanta game. I'll highlight Atlanta and make that a team. And then save, and then go to who's winning the Atlanta game. Make that a team, and then save. All right, so now I have 3 ways to get a score of a game. If I go to, let's see here, try out a sentence. So if I say, who won the Yankees game, it's going to say, yeah, we got get score, but we don't know anything else. They don't know Yankees is the name of a team. So I'll highlight this, and I'll say team, validate. Okay, so now if I, got to wait for this thing to finish here, but if I say who's winning the Yankees game, it knows now that Yankees is a team, and you can specify a whole list of these custom entities that are possible. So it knows what to look for. So in the case of team, you'd probably want to list, every city, like Boston, New York, Atlanta, Texas, stuff like that. And then you'd probably also add the nickname or the mascot, like Yankees, Red Sox, Braves, stuff like that. So it knows what to look for. And it'll go off the rest of the sentence to pretty much guess at what you're trying to get. So I'll say, I'll go back to entities here, and so I've got team. So I'm going to, here's the values. I've got Boston, Atlanta, Yankees. I'll add stuff like Red Sox. Whoops, don't want Red Sox. That would be dumb. And then I added a blank one by accident. So I'll say Red Sox, New York, and Braves. Okay. So now if I ask this question, like, what's the score of the Braves game? It knows that I'm trying to get a score, and it also knows what Braves is now. It's a team. So that's correct, and I can validate that. So, once again, the more expressions, the better. What's the Red Sox score? And then, get score, Red Sox, validate. How are the Yankees doing? Question mark. And so that looks good. So once again, here's a whole list of expressions, different ways to ask for a score of a game. And once again, the way that you process this is still on your end. If you're going to get back the team name, then you can go ahead, and the intent, you can say, okay, now let me fetch something from the database like a score, and then you can display something on your end. This is strictly for interpreting some sort of an input or a voice recognized input. So one thing that's cool is Wit gave you they give you a little downloadable test HTML page with some JavaScript that lets you use the microphone on your computer and actually hit the Wit API. Now the manual way to do it is just using curl. So I'll go to settings here and I'll say who won the I'll call it Atlanta game ? And then I'll copy this to my clipboard here, and then I'll go to my terminal and I'll paste that in and I'll see what it gives me. Okay, so I said a message body, who won the Atlanta game, the outcome, it set my intent to get score, which is correct, and then the entities, team, and then Atlanta is the value. These are the positions of the string Atlanta inside your entire message body. And then a confidence level of 0.535. Once again, the more, let's say if I add every single team and then I ask the exact same question with every single team name in it, the confidence might go up because it knows what it's looking for. But 0.53 is not bad, especially since I only have one intent right now. And so since I made this API call, I think if you go to your inbox, you might be able to see it in there. Maybe not. Yeah, I guess not. But I'm actually going to go to this page that has a little microphone set up. So I'm going to ask it the game and see what it gives me back. So here I go. I'm going to reload this page. It's going to ask for my microphone. I'm going to say yes. Then I'm going to ask it what the score of the Red Sox game was. What was the Red Sox score? Okay, so it said intent is get score, and then the team is Red Sox. So, from that simple sentence, I know that I need to get a score with the team nickname Red Sox. I can go and ask another similar question. Who won the Braves game? Once again, get score, Braves. It's pretty easy. And if I refresh my inbox, any type of API call shows up in your inbox. So let's say you have users who are using this app and they're going through and giving all these commands. You can go through all of their stuff and make sure, okay, that worked the way it's supposed to, or you can change stuff. Let's say if they said who won the Braves game and it didn't select the Braves, you could select it, stuff like that. So I'm say validate, that worked well. Now let me say, let me see if this actually works. Who won the Texas game? So it's already smart enough to figure out that Texas is a team. So I can go ahead and refresh my inbox and say, yep, that's a team, validate. And then I'll do it again for something weird like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a weird name that it might not know as a team. I'm not a huge MLB fan, so it's kind of hard trying to pull this out of my butt right now. What's a weird Team name, the Marlins. What was the Marlins score? All right, so it already knows, and it probably had my in there at the beginning too. Nope, it didn't. What was the Marlins score? So I'd say, yep, that's true. Okay, let me just go down the list. What was the Texans score? All right, so that worked. What else? Just trying to go down the list here. What was the Mets score? So it knows Mets. And the reason that it knows this is because it's seen a pattern in the way that these sentences are structured. So it can guess, even though it doesn't know Mets, Texans, Marlins already, it says, okay, well, this sentence is structured the exact same way as the other ones. Therefore, I'm going to guess, and once again, its confidence level comes into play here, that Mets is the team name or something like that. So I'll say, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. And you can see the confidence level starting to go up every single time I ask it. So I'm going to go ahead and say, what is the team? Listen, the Dodgers. What was the Dodgers score last night? Boom. So it knows the Dodgers. Let's see what the confidence level was on that. Hopefully around, okay, so 0.56. That's not bad. So it keeps going up. And once again, adding the whole last night thing, well, that's just another way to ask. That helps out immensely. So now if I go back to my intents, you can see I've got quite a few more expressions here. And if I go to my entities and click on team, you can see here are all the possible ones that have been added, so or are validated basically. And so let's say you want to do something like instead of getting the score, you want to find out what their next game is or something. You could create an intent called next game, and then of course make it realize whatever type of sentence. If you say who's Boston's next opponent, it would be able to guess that. So here's just a really quick, dry intro to it. It's really powerful. There's a lot of ideas I've got for actually using this, but it's definitely going to help power some of these new voice-powered apps on like Google Glass, and maybe just some sort of a nice, handy automated instant messaging type of service where you tell it what to do and it'll do it. Automating tasks in general without that's my phone, sorry, without having to have an actual physical interface is a really nice idea. So instead of having to sit there in Google and type in Boston and then look for their schedule and then click on a game, you can just ask Siri what was the Boston score and it does it. And that's what Wit's trying to get at, is you can basically create interfaceless apps where the interface pretty much lies in the textual input or the audio input that you give it. So the sky's the limit with this thing. It's working really well so far. I'm not exactly sure what their pricing model is eventually going to be like, but right now it's free. So yeah, that's Wit in a nutshell.